Welcome back to our yearly roundup of all the weird news that has happened in 2021. I'm back today to pull another 2 tales of strange from my veritable overflowing stocking of weirdness, giving you 2 more weird news stories from the year, both of which happened in March. Now, just as a quick reminder, or if you've not been here before, this won't be your usual news roundup. This is strictly the stuff that makes you go, "What?" As quite frankly, politics, the global panny-d, and the general destruction of the planet are all a bit of a buzzkill, especially before Christmas. Now, that's not to say that these stories don't dally with the dark side, because they most definitely do, and there will be some stories which are heartbreakingly sad and abhorrent too, so here's your parental guidance warning if you're listening to this with corruptible young minds. This podcast is not suitable for children. But before that, if you are new here, then hi, my name's Nikki, and I make podcasts and videos about all sorts of weird stuff, so if you're into that, which I have a sneaking suspicion that you might be, then please hit subscribe so we can hang out together again. So with the disclaimer out of the way, let's jump into March, the bestest of months because it's my birthday. One small village has 500 fires in a year. The tiny town of Thakurgaon in Bangladesh has had a tough year already, and it's only March. From March 2020 to March 2021, the 4-mile squared town endured 500 fires. A government survey revealed that due to a number of different reasons, the town had been set ablaze. Amongst the faults which caused the flames were faulty wiring and a small amount attributed to children deliberately setting fire to things. However, the main reason for all the blazes was faulty gas pipes, which had countless holes in them, which caused gas leaks, resulting in explosions and house fires. Some of the more bizarre reasons for fires were birds' nests on pylons, a faulty switch which burned a home down, and flames from other blazes spreading from building to building. The reason some of these fires have then spread and caused further damage is down to the lack of staff at the town's fire station. The government have reported that the town is woefully understaffed when it comes to fire people, and furthermore, the town's fire station itself is ill-equipped to be able to deal with such issues. The water tanks it holds are too small to effectively deal with a large blaze, and the nearest water filling points at ponds and rivers are not easy to access, causing there to be a long time between fires starting and them being able to be extinguished. The fire people who work in the town also say there is a lack of education about fire safety, and that many of these fires could easily be prevented if the knowledge was available to the residents. Another problem is that fire safety and building regulations in the town and Bangladesh as a whole are not up to code. Buildings don't have to have any fire safety provisions or precautions, which inherently makes them more flammable and risky for the people living in them, and this only helps to exacerbate the amount of blazes which happen year on year, and this often results in fatalities. 2 years earlier, in 2019, a blaze which killed 70 people happened in Old Dhaka, and another large blaze in a tower block took 26 lives. However, to put that into perspective, 72 people officially died in the Grenfell Tower block fire in 2017 in London, but the actual death toll may have been higher due to the fact that many people living in the building which died and were never recovered were asylum seekers who weren't formally registered, and so there was no record of them ever existing. Just putting that out there, as I know there's some people who would think that our government in Britain wouldn't allow a similar thing to happen as to the people in Bangladesh, but there we go. Calls from fire officials in Bangladesh to make fire regulations better have been met with some scepticism, as after all, making housing safe has a cost implication, so it's not going to be met with glee by those that have to foot the bill. However, fast forward to November this year, and it looks like the pleas for safety may have been answered, even just a little bit. There was a service in Thakurgaon to recognise the hard work of the fire service, and to congratulate them on the fire prevention classes they'd been delivering around the town. After the ceremony to thank the firefighters, they carried out a parade around the city, where people came out to congratulate them and to thank them for all their hard work. Fingers crossed the lessons work, and that Thakurgaon sees far fewer fires for the rest of 2021, and 2022, and actually forever. Tesco Carpark turns into an alien communication centre. When you think of where aliens might like to touch down, your first thought wouldn't necessarily be a Tesco Carpark in Hertfordshire. However, aliens have apparently been causing one hell of a ruckus at the supermarket. For those of you not fully initiated into the ways of life in the UK, Tesco is the biggest supermarket chain. It's basically the middling supermarket out there, and it's fairly benign and dull. So when aliens decided to start causing problems, visitors to the superstore were extremely confused. One visitor who parked up in the car park, did their shopping and returned with a trolley full of goods, became increasingly dismayed when they couldn't get back into their car. The entry system on their vehicle had failed, and so they were left stranded with bags full of groceries which they couldn't get home. When another shopper reported the same thing happening to their car, the staff at the shop thought it was just a strange coincidence. But over the course of 3 days, approximately 100 cars experienced the same entry failure with their key fobs. Police were called to investigate as the situation grew rapidly out of hand, and with plenty of dismayed shoppers milling around whilst their rapidly defrosting ice cream dripped all over the asphalt. Of course, like all good tall tales, the situation began to rapidly escalate until there were rumours going from shopper to shopper that the reason for the whole debacle was down to alien interference. Other shoppers thought it may be people intentionally jamming signals so they could steal cars or clone keys, but the fact that none of the jammed cars were interfered with puts an end to that theory. However, when the whole situation was investigated by the Office of Communications, which is commonly referred to in the UK as Ofcom, the truth was far less interesting. When similar cases had happened before, Ofcom discovered that interference from a number of things can cause certain frequencies to get jammed, and as such can't be used by the correct technology assigned to the certain radio wave. In the past, even things like baby monitors and faulty wiring have caused frequencies to be interrupted for long periods of time. It's also almost impossible to track down where the incorrect frequency is being transmitted from, so issues like this are often recurring. However, shoppers at that particular Tesco can rest easy, as the frequency seems to have stopped interfering for now, and shoppers have stopped complaining of being locked out of their vehicles. As the problem could potentially return at any point, people going to that particular Tesco's with an electronic entry system may just be better off getting the bus. Thank you for joining me for those weird stories from March. I hope you enjoyed them. You know the drill by now if you've been around for a while, but if you're new, then please subscribe, come and follow me on my social media, and if you like the show and you want to see more of them, then please consider becoming a Patreon supporter so you can get your mitts on exclusive content, an extra episode per month, and depending on the tier you pick, have your name read out at the end of the episode like our executive Patreon producers, Amy, Barry, Bethan, Kate, Mary, Ren, Sam, Sarah and Veronica. And thanks to all of my other patrons too. Also, if you're not up for a long-term commitment, but you just wanted to send a tip or a gift from my Amazon wishlist, then I would hugely appreciate that too, and I'll leave all the links in the show notes on the podcast and the description of the YouTube video. An enormous thank you for even considering doing that, as it means the world and also helps the show to continue. And if you've done any of those things recently, then it's just always such a joy to get a parcel through the post or a surprise donation. So big squishies if you're part of that gang. It really warms my very stone cold heart. Thank you for joining me for this episode. I've been Nikki Drees, and I'll see you ghouls tomorrow for April.